What is up, guys? How are we all doing? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm literally just going to be going over a little bit of the Ocean DLC for Fishing Planet. Literally just going to be going through, expressing some concerns, I suppose, as well as just generally give you some form of idea or consensus as to if it's worth actually buying. Now, before I get into it, like I say, I'm going to be as completely honest as I possibly can regarding this DLC, because there are a couple that you can buy. And I'm literally just going to be going over, talking about essentially what you get, and whether it's actually worth it or not. Because I keep getting a lot of questions asked, and a lot of people want to know whether it's actually worth the money. So, like I say, without further ado, it's going to be a short video. I'm just going to get straight into it and go from there. So of course, as you guys know, you get three options essentially. Where is the other one? Okay, we might have to go to ocean packs. Here we go. So essentially, we've got three here. Now we'll start with the Sailor Collection pack first. Of course, it gives you, premium is to be expected, 100,000 credits, 20 bait coins, and you do get some pretty decent saltwater tackle, spinning rod and the casting rod. I do own this, and they are very decent rods and very decent reels. Same with the rod case, and the tackle wagon and the clothing, is optional if you want to keep that or not. And it gives you some lines, leaders as well to equip it, and it gives you a couple of lures as well, just to kind of, get you started really. Now, the one thing I did notice with this, of course, you get 7 days. You get 7 days in Japan, and you get an advanced license for 7 days. Now, I think this is more appropriate for the people that maybe are a low level and want to try out the ocean pack, and if that's something that you want to do, then that's absolutely fine. Some of the questions you get, obviously, you don't get a boat with this pack, so you will have to rent a boat. Now, I'm fairly confident that if you do the missions within the ocean, it actually gives you the equipment for the boat. To my understanding, when you rent a boat, you don't get any of the equipment on it, so there is an option there. But keep in mind, this is 7 days. Pretty self-explanatory, but I think it overall, for somebody that may not know, or may not, they may not be too sure whether they want to splash out, the extras for some of these bigger packs. So now we'll go into the Ocean Voyager pack. So in this one, you get 30 days of premium. Everybody's read through this. Everybody's looked through it. You get decent rods, decent reels, all of that kind of stuff. You do get a boat, like I say, with a maximum of 1,200 kgs, maximum seats of 3, and rod holders of 6, which is fine. And then the equipment is not too different. Of course, you get these sinkers as well, which is, another way of kind of, broadening the sort of fish that you can catch within the ocean. Same thing with the curved hooks as well. And you get some plugs for things like tuna and marlin and all that kind of stuff. Some pilkers, just the usual. And then you get some baits with it as well, which are, fairly good. I would say you're going to need a lot of this stuff, fishing wise. But not only that, you get 30 days in this pack, and you get a 30-day license, right? So I'm going to skip to the bigger pack. Now, this is the one that I get most questions on, and I do apologize. I am just skimming through this because, of course, everybody has read through this probably a million times, and you don't know whether it's going to be worth it or not. Same thing applies. Obviously, the premium goes up to 60 rather than 30. You get slightly better rods to go with it and slightly better reels. Of course, you're going to get a little bit more for your money, as well as a rod case. The boat that holds a maximum of 2,000 kgs, And of course, you get your lines and your leaders and all that sort of stuff, your sinkers. There isn't really too much of a difference between what you get in each pack, other than the fact that, you're going to get a few extra, hooks and lures and stuff like that. So, essentially you're looking at it in a way of like, if you're going to go for it, you may as well go for the more expensive one. But this is where the catch comes in. So of course you've got 60 days, and then you've got 60 days pond pass, and you've got 60 days of the license. Now this is where my problem occurs, because I would say these packs are definitely worth it, but there come some cons, and I'm going to go over the cons right now. Essentially, when you're looking at purchasing these packs, you've got to remember you need to be level 83. You need to be level 83 to come to the ocean. So please factor in the level that you are, because whether you buy the cheapest pack and get 7 days, whether you buy the middle pack for 30 days, or whether you buy the more expensive pack for 60 days, you've got to keep in the back of your mind that you need to be level 83 to go to these places. So you have got to get to the required level before the pond pass expires. That's a big one. Not only that, but you've also got to keep in mind the travel cost is 33,000 to go there. On the advanced license for 1 day is 15 grand. It's not too bad. In the realms of it, the fish that you are going to be catching are going to be producing and giving you a hell of a lot of money. You could catch 1 to 2 fish and pay off the travel cost, and the advanced license and more. So we're going to go in there now, and I'm going to go over a few things as well that you really need to keep an eye on. Mainly your equipment. When it comes down to your level, you've also got to understand that you need to be level 83 to come here. But at the same time, you've also got to think about the level you need to be to replace the items if you break them. Now that is a big one. I've had a few people over on TikTok ask me a few questions regarding that, and I think you have to be really sensible, because if you're, say, level 10 coming into the ocean, it's gonna give you insane amount of XP. It's gonna give you insane amount of levels and things like that. But it is just the equipment. It's just the equipment that you got to think of. There are some really nice fish, within the ocean. We'll go through that now. Like I say, 55 species of fish, and these fish are beautiful. There are some really nice catches in there. Couple of my favorites, the giant grouper, absolutely fantastic fish to go after. But all of these fish, keep in mind, they are heavily taxing on your equipment. Now, the one thing that I ran into was the line. You go through line, depending on whether you do your max drag or whether you do this or whether you do that, it takes a tanking on your equipment. And this comes back to what I was saying. If you are not the right level to replace this equipment, you find yourself in a very sticky situation of whether, you buy another DLC to replace that equipment so you can continue fishing here. Or if you're not somebody that's got the funds for that, you've essentially paid money, 50 quid, 30 quid, £17, whatever the case may be. You've paid that, and all you can do is look at it. So the gear is something which, I don't like the way that that's set up at all. It's all glamorous coming here, and trust me, I've had a lot of fun. I've made a lot of money off this place, the trolling, the bottom fishing, all of that kind of stuff. The ocean is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. But at the same time, it is what you make of it. Like I say, there are some really nice fish. There's some really good spots. you know, and generally speaking, you know, if you are the right level, you know, I wouldn't recommend this pack to anybody under like level 40. To be honest, it's gonna, you know, if money is expendable to you and you don't mind it, then that's absolutely fine. But for somebody that maybe, you know, is not too sure whether it's going to be worth it for them or not, those factors which I've explained are going to be the predominant things that you need to keep an eye on. Because, like I say, being a specific level to come here anyway, you have to be the right level. You have to make sure that you get to this place by the time that your pond pass expires, regardless of whatever pack that you buy. But at the same time, you have to keep a mindful eye on your equipment, because like I say, if you break it or you haven't got the money to replace or repair, you know, you're left in a pretty difficult situation. Now, of course, if you have any questions about this DLC, I am more than happy to answer your questions in the comments. But yeah, I just wanted to give a sort of general overview of what I think about this DLC. If you're a sensible level, and I feel if you're okay with spending that level of money on a DLC pack to come here early, just keep those things in mind. That's all I recommend. Just keep those things in mind, because my experience with this place, it can be very unforgiving. Some of the fish, you know, they are rather big. You know, you're going £500 upwards. You know, you really need to keep an eye on your equipment. And, you know, I say to a lot of people, it's not about how quickly you can pull the fish in. Just try and keep your gear intact as long as you can, if you aren't the right level to obviously repair or replace. I should say repair. Obviously, you can repair it, but you know, if you aren't the right level to replace your equipment, that is something that you really, really need to take into consideration. But like I say, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go over in this video. Just a nice, short, simple, you know, is it worth buying for you? And pretty much that's as far as it goes. You know, like I say, there are some beautiful fish in here. You know, it's a fantastic experience, and it does give you one hell of a load of money. Not only that, but XP as well. You know, if you're somebody that wants a shortcut, you know, something like that, then obviously that's completely optional. It's completely up to you. But just keep in mind of those things which I've briefly skimmed over, because I think those things are the more important things that you need to generally focus on. Because the last thing you want to do is spend 50 quid on a DLC, break your equipment, not the right level to come here, you're not the right level to replace these pieces of equipment, you know, and stuff like that. But you kind of get where I'm coming from. You kind of get where I'm coming from. Well, I hope you do anyway. But yeah, guys, like I say, thank you very, very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm Diesel Viking. Thank you for tuning in. If you could drop a like and a follow, that'd be massively appreciated. I'll be covering loads of topics regarding Fishing Planet, as well as Russian Fishing 4 as well. So if you're interested in that, it'd be nice to see you jump in. But yeah, guys, until next time, hope you all have a fantastic day. We'll take it easy. I'll catch you in the next one.